Imagine being in a relationship where you love somebody deeply. You are devoted to them. Yet, you feel restless, trapped even. You can't quite explain it. There are no obvious red flags. There are no major betrayal. No dramatic crisis. Yet, you feel restless, anxious, emotionally drained. You find yourself constantly second-guessing your decisions, carefully choosing your words, walking on eggshells, trying not to upset them, trying not to disappoint them, trying to keep the peace. Today, we ask the question, what happens when a relationship takes away your peace? What happens when your love life begins to feel more like you're under constant pressure? A trap even. You feel less like you're a partner in that relationship and more like you're under constant supervision. The person says that they love you, but they are becoming the person that is making you feel trapped. Not trapped behind locked doors, but trapped emotionally, mentally. You begin to feel like a caged animal, imprisoned in a relationship where you have no opinion of your own. Every one of your friendships is controlled. Instead of you yourself voluntarily sharing information, you are required to get approval for every thought that goes through your mind, for every opinion, every decision. And slowly you are feeling your identity being eroded. You are being shaped into someone you don't want to be. The troubling reality about controlling relationships is that they do not begin with control. They begin with affection, a lot of attention. They are seemingly very protective, showing a lot of concern for you. They appear like somebody who is deeply invested in your future, in your life. And this is what makes control difficult to recognize. Because someone will rarely say to you, I want to dominate you. Instead, they will say, I care about you. I worry about you because I love you. I want what is best for you. I was in a relationship where he was very attentive. He paid close attention to how I dressed, how I did my hair. If I did a style he didn't like, I will have to go back to the stylist to get it redone. If I put on an outfit he didn't like, he made me change it into something else that he desired. At first, I didn't mind. I even loved the attention. He had excellent taste, so I received a lot of compliments. But over time, I started feeling restless, because his opinions began to dominate every part of my life. His expectations became my expectations. It was not my choice. And I began to realize that losing my voice was losing myself. I was losing my identity, who I was. So I began respectfully to assert myself. I did not argue. I did not fight with them, and I was not disrespectful. I was simply saying, I appreciate your opinion, but my voice also matters. A healthy relationship should be a partnership, not dictatorship. And a healthy love should bring you peace of mind, not slowly take away your peace. Unhealthy control is not always in the form of conflict. You may not fight, you may not quarrel. Many times, it is just the loss of peace of your mind. You stop feeling free. You stop feeling relaxed. You become afraid of becoming yourself, who you are. Every part of your life is being controlled. And the funny thing about people that are controlling is, like I said before, disguising it as care for you. They try to convince you that they are worried because they love you, that they are trying to protect you, that they are doing what is best for you. And sometimes they are very sincere in those statements, but sometimes they are not. What makes a difference is whether the person's actions support your freedom or whether they restrict your freedom. Not just what they are saying, but their actions. If they are protective, they should promote your well-being. Because being possessive is just asserting ownership. Somebody that is a protective partner will ask, how can I support you? What do you need? Are you okay? But a possessive partner will ask, why didn't you answer? Where are you? Who were you with? The protective approach makes you feel at peace, but the possessive approach puts you under pressure, and pressure will eventually steal away your peace. When God created humans, He gave us free will. He gave us freedom to choose. And that is why psychology has discovered that human beings have a deep need for what is called autonomy. The need to think for themselves, to decide for themselves, and to act for themselves. Freedom is important to every human being. And when you take that freedom away, they feel caged. They are not at peace. People thrive and they are happy when they can choose for themselves, free to make their decisions, and they are allowed to take actions of their own free will. And that is why people that commit crimes, their punishment is to take away that freedom. They are locked up, and everything that they do is being controlled and managed. That is a very big punishment to give to a human person. So in simple language, people need to feel that they have ownership of their own lives, ownership of their decisions, their thoughts, their identity, their future. That's how God made us, to have free will. And when that freedom is repeatedly restricted or taken away, our emotional well-being will go down. And we become frustrated, anxious, disconnected, and emotionally exhausted. Just because your freedom is being suffocated. The human soul was never meant to be trapped. God made it to be free. So why is it that people feel the need to control others? Many people think that those who are controlling are powerful. No. On the contrary, many of them are actually deeply afraid. They are just fear masquerading as control. Fear in disguise. They have fear of abandonment, fear of betrayal, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. Many controlling people never learn to trust. Instead, they have learned to just manage other people's lives and situations. How to monitor them, how to dominate them, because it's for them safer to be controlling than to feel vulnerable. It is a coping mechanism. They are trying to control the outside because of the chaos that they are feeling inside. Inside their minds, it is very chaotic. And trying to control externally is a way to calm that chaos. But the problem with that approach is that it cannot heal the feeling of insecurity. It's just covering it up. Monitoring someone will not make them to trust you. And being possessive cannot even create intimacy in a relationship, because intimacy cannot thrive in a dictatorship. A domineering approach cannot create peace in any relationship. It is only trust and freedom that can do that. And the interesting thing is that instead of controlling someone, if you allow that person freedom, often they will voluntarily choose to please you, to do that thing that you want, if you give them the choice. Control kills your peace. It destroys your peace slowly. Control slowly changes you. It doesn't do it overnight. It does it gradually. And before you realize it, you're filtering your words. You're monitoring your own behavior. You are trying to avoid conflict. And so you start being dishonest. You start not telling the truth. You are no longer genuine or true to yourself and others. Psychologists, they call this hypervigilance. You become constantly on the alert, constantly scanning for danger, always trying to predict someone else's reaction. You start walking on eggshells, and over time, you stop living because you're focused on surviving. You stop asking yourself, what do I want? Instead, you start asking, what will keep them happy? And before you realize it, your peace has disappeared. It is gone into thin air, because in its place is constant fear. The irony of control is that it often makes someone do the very thing that you are afraid of. The controlling partner fears losing the relationship, so they tighten their grip. They put on more pressure, do some more monitoring, make more demands, and they put more restrictions. But there is something psychology calls psychological reactance. When people feel that their freedom is threatened, they naturally want to get it back. That's a normal human tendency. They want to get it back. And the more pressure that they feel, the more their resistance will grow. And that is why controlling relationships has what is called a cycle. They are trapped in a cycle. The more one person is controlling, the more the other person withdraws. And the more the person withdraws, the more the other one increases their control. And eventually, there is resentment. And there will be decline in communication. They stop opening up. They stop being honest. They stop being genuine and real. They may remain physically present, but emotionally they have checked out. Because true intimacy requires freedom to thrive. Freedom is needed to build trust. And true love can only exist where there is freedom. For someone to genuinely love you, they have to feel free. God gives us freedom. Freedom to choose Him. Freedom to love Him. He does not force us. So a love that is forced on someone, it can never be true love. It has to be voluntary. The person has to feel it on the inside. So what is God's plan for peace, freedom, and love? We see this in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 because it describes the qualities of love. And I talked about this before in previous episodes. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is humble. Love is selfless. Control is missing all of these qualities. There is no manipulation mentioned. There is no ownership mentioned. No domination. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 17 says, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." Freedom, my dear people. Not bondage. Not fear. Not emotional imprisonment, but freedom. 1 John chapter 4 verse 18 tells us that perfect love casts out fear. Fear makes someone tighten their grip, but love will make them open their hands. They will release you. Fear controls, but love trusts. Fear dominates, but love will give you room to grow. God's design for relationships. God's design for relationships was never about making another person become less of themselves, but it is about helping them to flourish. Healthy love does not take away somebody's peace. It encourages your peace to grow. So if you are constantly feeling anxious, if you are constantly feeling pressured, if you are feeling monitored, unable to disagree safely, unable to express your opinions safely, ask yourself two simple questions. Am I at peace? What type of relationship am I in? Because the absence of peace is often a sure sign that your relationship is controlling. Because real love protects you without trying to suffocate you. It leads you without dominating you. It corrects you without humiliating you. It will guide you onto the right path with love. So if you cannot breathe, you cannot grow, you cannot think freely, if you feel you are losing your voice, that you cannot be yourself, then know that your relationship is not a loving one. It may be that it is a controlling one instead. Because healthy love isn't a prison. Healthy love will create peace. It will create freedom. And where there is freedom, love thrives. Jesus said in John 14 verse 27, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. I pray that the God of all peace be with you now and always. Amen. Thank you for spending this time with me on Light and Peace Through the Storm. To stay connected, visit ceciliapublished.com or follow the podcast on YouTube and social media at Light and Peace Pod. Music in this episode is fully licensed for this podcast. Until next time, remember, peace is possible and light is always present, even in the storm.